Michel Roux, how are you?
Very well indeed, and happy to be with you.
Can I congratulate you firstly on that voice? I've dreamed my entire career in radio of sounding butch and deep and delicious. What a tremendous thing that is.
Well, I've done nothing for it. I mean, my parents are at fault. They're guilty.
Listen, thank you for coming in, because you got this new book out called Pastry, and it was such a delight to read. And you really know what you're talking about. And what's nice about this book is I understand it. It's a fine balance, that, isn't it?
Yes. Well, I think when people are complicated, it's simply because they get confused themselves and they don't know what they're talking about. And there is a lot on the market those days. There is a lot of so-called chefs who do not know all that much about cooking or pastry. I was born in it, and at the age of 14, I started as a pâtissier, and I started pastry. Pastry, the dough, all the crust, all the base of what we call pastry. Sweet and savory. And I love it. I mean, it's only putting pen to paper to something which I know how to walk with it, to swim in it, and to enjoy the smell of it and the touch of it.
You've got to really feel it, haven't you? You've got to have it in you.
Yes, but you can get very quickly the knack of it, extremely quickly. Let's not forget that when you talk about pastry, you're talking only about flour, eggs, butter, a bit of sugar and a bit of salt. That's the 4 ingredients I'm using for all the dough. Puff pastry, filo, crust, short crust, brioche, and so on and so forth. 9 recipes at least of dough, which lead you to other recipe. Then you need more ingredients. But those bases will feed the family beautifully well, even plain, even with no garnish into it. Those, when they come out of the oven, will be an enjoyment for the family.
It's an interesting thing you mentioned there. These are very cheap products. These are
Absolutely.
Things that are available in every supermarket. And we hear all this nonsense about cooking fresh and organic and all that business. Actually, it's amazing how people have made this a revolution, but it's what you've been doing since you started.
Yes, and not buying products which are in supermarket. Now, I've got nothing against supermarket, but let's be fair. If you read at the packet, the label, what it says on it, you would keep away from it. And you will save money as well. And you will make people happy, because apart from eating better food, the smell in the house when you're cooking it, baking it, will keep the children at home, the husband or the wife, and the family together.
Was that what got you interested originally, when you were maybe lying in bed one day and you heard Mother... and then that waft came past you?
Well, definitely as a kid, I was born above the shop, the delicatessen shop. So it was not pastry, it was charcuterie. It was pâté, sausages, black pudding, and everything to do with pork. And the smell was different every day of the week. So I knew the day of the week by the smell which I was sniffing. But pastry is the same. When I started in pastry at 14, I started at 4 in the morning until 7. And for 3 hours, I was working the dough. Alongside my boss, who was 55 years old. I was 14. I was looking at him and said, God, the old man, he's still working. Now I think he was a young man, you see.
And did it come to you very naturally? Did you have a flair for it very quickly?
Oh, extremely quickly, yes. It's a natural, I think, I'm not saying it's a gift, but in some ways it must be. And it's a natural thinking. For me, if I get close to, I've been doing a lot of demonstration and masterclass over the last few days, promoting the book, and it comes naturally, and people love it. I mean, you can see it, I don't even need a scale or a measure. I use it because people would think, what is he trying to do to us? But I can feel by the feeling, the fingers, the look, what I've got there on weight, on quantity, and on everything. And the mix is with the fingertips, never with the whole hand. Gentle.
I know people pay a hell of a lot of money to be in your presence, to see you cook. Can we all do it? That's basically what I'm asking.
Yes, if people want to take time for it, because like anything else, if people take 4 hours to do an 18-hole round of golf, they can take 10 minutes in the kitchen, surely. Or even a gardening, I love gardening too. I love golf, but, cooking and pastry require a bit of time. So if you want to give a bit of time to the subject, you will get there very quickly, but no shortcut. No shortcut, no fancy things, just real food. The best ingredient and the most simple ingredient, not the most sophisticated. I'm not talking about lobster now. can be it can be an herring fish, it can be a piece of haddock, it could be any kind of ingredient. A little chicken, free-range chicken, it could be anything. But buy the best, the best product, and cook it simply, but cook it well. Techniques are very important to know. And that's what the book on pastry is about as well. Technique. I'm taking through every readers, every professional, because I know a lot of young people in the profession who love the book for what I've heard about it, because they never had a book like that in their hand. They've never been taught of how to make pastry. And if you see the beautiful photo and taken step by step, and then in less than 5 minutes, can you imagine? 5 minutes, you can make a short crust, sweet crust, and add a pizza dough, and so on and so forth. The only one which take a bit longer is puff pastry. 20 minutes, not bad.
When you mention things like pizza bread, if you put those in the freezer, for example, you've always got a meal there, a healthy, nutritional dinner. Just put a bit of tomato sauce on it, sprinkle a little cheese, some vegetables, and there you are.
Absolutely right. But you see, what's so simple and so basic, people don't do it anymore. But I think they will have to do it. With the time ahead, we will have to do it, and thank God for that, because it's so easy. You make a big batch, you cut it in small pieces, in an airtight container or cling film, and then in a deep freeze. You get a batch out, you put your filling in it, and you feel you really happily have a family around the table enjoying simple food, good quality, cheap and cheerful.
Now then, help me how you go from being a guy who's at 14 working in a shop to winning 3 Michelin stars. How do you take that step? How did that happen?
It happened because you never chase, you never cook for the Michelin, you never cook for star, you never cook for success. You cook because it's a way of life. That's what people forget sometimes, basic things of life. We love it. And my boss, when I was an apprentice, said something which I will never forget. He said, it won't take long. It won't take longer to do something well than doing it badly. And you will take so much pleasure out of it. And that's been one of my motto for life. And I always say that to my kids when they're in the kitchen, 22 chef, when I see that they're doing something which is not the way to do it. I explain to them that's how you should do it and why you should do it that way. And if you do take that policy and that attitude, everything you do bring you to step above, up to the point that you're one of the best. If you're good at what you're doing, don't talk about it. Do it. I've been doing it all my life. Now I can talk about it. It makes me laugh when I see people writing their autobiography in my trade at 30, 35 years old. What a joke, A footballer I can understand, but a cook, mind you, 9 out of 10 write cookery book, and their name is on the cover, but it's all done by a ghost. And they don't even know what is the content of their book. They don't know if it works. It doesn't matter. They make money. My philosophy and the way I want is I work, I learn, I give the best shot, and then I was successful, and it just happened by doing that, I made money. But that's the right way around, by the way, not the other way around.
And as for all these TV programs that you've just mentioned, the guys who do bring out their books twice a year, do they help in making people curious about gastronomy?
No, they don't.
And food?
It's a total shamble. It's a shame. It's appalling. And it's appalling the public buying those books and putting them on their shelf because they want to show off their friends they've got the book. They want to rub shoulder. They can't rub shoulder, so they rub their hands along the books. What a lovely story, isn't it? Sad. Very, very sad.
You open up your restaurants and your hotels and you bring people in, the public. Is that important to you to pass on your message face to face?
It's extremely important, but it's my son Alain who is doing it, who is in charge of the stove, and he's been 14 years working alongside me. 4 years, for the last 4 years, he's walking alone and running the show, and he will go and say hello to the guests. If someone is not happy, he will go and say hello and explain and why they're not happy and apologize, change the dish if it is at fault. And if they're happy, they will be able to see the chef, eyes to eyes. And I think that's fantastic. It is what I call paying for, spending good money. Because you've got a whole story. You're not getting half of the story.
Tell us how you feel about the gastronomy in Britain. Is there better food out there for more reasonable money?
It's much better food around, all around. I mean, UK is not only a place where you can eat well, but very well now, especially London. And the problem is the cost of it. I mean, it's extremely expensive. And why is it extremely expensive? Couple of reasons. The rent are too expensive in London, crazy. So obviously a restaurateur will have to pay the rent. The rates are too expensive, and the staff do have to be paid well, and the lodging in London for the staff are extremely expensive, and so on and so forth. So I'm not giving too much excuse to my friends and colleagues in our industry, but it is a very difficult situation, because we've got to pass on the cost to the client. But the mid-range, we still get what I call fair deal and a better food than we used to have. But it's still a little too expensive. London is a problem for the cost.
There's far more to it than just putting good food on the plate now. It has to be an experience, they tell me. And that seems a shame, because actually, ultimately, it should be what comes on the end of your fork.
Well, yes, because at the end, I mean, food is supposed to be eat, and the palate to enjoy, and the tummy feel good, by the way. The feel-good factor, not full, but content, and so on and so forth. Lovely story, simple story. That's why most probably people want more now. They're wrong. For me, the restaurant is the scenery. It's got to be comfortable, nice to look at, good atmosphere, very good service. People's got to be not on the top of you, but discreet service, but attentive. And the food's got to be look good, but not pretty, not beautiful. Look good, appetizing, but before anything, taste good. Good food, tasting good, well cooked. And then you'll go away and you just say, well, the scenery was nice, the service was good, the food was good. That was an experience. Again, let's go back to the basis. That's what a restaurant is supposed to be and supposed to deliver.
I went into a restaurant recently and they had 10,000 roses on the wall, and these roses are changed every 10 days to be kept fresh. And I did wonder how cheaper my meal could have been if I didn't have those roses on the wall. It has got a bit silly now, hasn't it?
Well, themed restaurant has been over the last 10 years. Look, if I may say, there will be 3 restaurants out of 10 closing in London in the next 6 months. And that's my forecast. And I may be far from that forecast. It may be a gentle one. Because those theme restaurants got no use for no one. The time is there now to get rid of them, because we can't eat those roses, we can't eat those themes, we can't lick the wall, we can't take the bulb from the ceiling, and so on and so forth. What we want is food for the money we've got.
And very finally, if you could cook anything now, what would it be? What would be your favourite thing to put together, to create, to make your masterpiece and then to eat?
I think it would be a chicken. Because chicken is the most delightful little piece of animal. And free-range chicken, obviously, and an happy chicken who will end up in my hand, and I will very simply prepare it. Cook it in 2 ways. I will most probably steam it, and then very quickly fry it. But fry it into clarified butter, not in oil, because it's too heavy, to give a crisp skin. So I will have the crisp skin of the chicken and the moistness of the flesh. And I will suck the bones, because I love the bones of the chicken. And have a nice glass of claret or burgundy with it. And I'll be an happy man.
You're making me peckish now. We better go and I'll eat something. Michel Roux, congratulations on being you. This new book called Pastry is in your stores now, and it is just a book that appears to have been loved. You can feel the years of experience that you've got within it. It's beautifully illustrated, and it's so simple to digest, because what you do looks so simple, but it isn't as easy as you make it look. And that's what this book is about, bringing that back and making it accessible to people like me that know virtually nothing. Congratulations, and thank you so much for talking to me. It's been a real pleasure.
Pleasure for me too. Thank you.